2023 will be a year of opportunity. Today I'm going to share with you 5 predictions and how you can take advantage of them this coming year. Markets go up and markets go down. There are times when the business is easy and there are times when we have some headwinds in our business. Today what I want to do is I want to go through what I'm looking at when I look forward to 2023. What are the things that I see being in this business now for almost 30 years? What is it that I've seen in the past that I can apply now to the future so that I can get you in a position where hopefully you can take full advantage of the opportunities that I see coming in the next year? Gino Bafari says it this way. He says that chaos creates opportunity. And in reality, what we've seen in the last half of 2022, and what I imagine we're going to see some, at least especially in the first half of 2023, is that there are going to be some opportunities in some chaos where others aren't sure what to do. So what are some of the things that I anticipate or that I predict will happen in 2023? I want to start with this. Number 1, less transactions. We've got a lot of headwinds, whether it be from interest rates, whether it be just simply just buyers' perception of value and sellers' perception of value, where there's a separation between what sellers are willing to sell for and buyers are willing to pay. And just in general, the economic condition we're in. Naturally, when you have so many front-loaded number of transactions that we had for the last 3 years, you would anticipate in a typical market that markets are going to slow down some. That's what we saw in the last part of 2022 and what I predict we'll see in the first part of 2023. So now what are you going to do? Understanding there's going to be less transactions, what can you do to set yourself apart in 2023? So if there's going to be less transactions, we have to understand that every single transaction you do is of value. It has an extreme amount of importance. So we want to make sure that we're focusing in to make sure that none of them fall through the cracks. So a couple things we can do there. I encourage you to make a next 10 board where you're just seeing who it is that you're going to do business with. I had someone reach out to me and say, well, what if I don't have 10 buyers that I'm expecting are going to buy from me? I don't have 10 sellers that are possibly going to list with me in the next 6 months. Or maybe I don't have 10 people on my board that are the folks that would send me referrals if the opportunity came. Well, this is what I would encourage you to do. Start with where you're at. One is better than none. If you've got one great client, focus in on that great client to help them find exactly what it is that they need. By doing that, it builds momentum. Continuously work to really build that board. So build your database. Have conversations with homeowners, talking about what's going on in the market, asking them if you can keep in touch. Just basically just spending the time doing the work to where you're filling that database in a way that helps you build for the future. And last but not least, build relationships. Don't just focus on the transactions. Focus on adding value in a way that's not just going to help you now in a lower transaction environment in 2023, but it's going to set the table for not if, but when this thing takes off again. The second prediction is that there will be more inventory. Now listen, this may sound like, oh, well, of course there's going to be more inventory. Let me give you some numbers that we saw in 2022 that I anticipate are going to continue to move in that direction going into 2023. Naturally, what we see in the springtime of the year is that we see more inventory come on the market as people are making moves, as people are considering moving, or as people are coming out of the wintertime and they're just thinking about what it is they want to have happen going into the new year. And that's when we typically see a rise in inventory on a natural perspective. One of the things that we're seeing is that now we're going to see this natural rise in inventory. We saw it all through the year in 2022. But now as we see that additional inventory come on the market, we are also seeing less demand. Again, we talked about this. Some of that comes down to just less transactions. So as we see more inventory, there's a couple things that we need to be very specific on to make sure that we take advantage of the opportunity of that new inventory that's coming onto the market in 2023. The first thing we need to do to take advantage of this is to be very selective on our listings. Price is important. It's more important than ever when you have a market where there's less transactions. Don't be afraid to say no. If someone is trying to price something and the seller is just unreasonable, don't take that listing. It's going to wear you down as far as your time, your resources, and it's going to be an opportunity that there's probably going to be a possibility you're never going to sell that listing. Let me tell you, the best position to be in is the listing agent that comes in after something has expired. These expired listings give you the opportunity to tell them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear, which is what most listing agents are doing in this market environment. By being the person that tells them the truth on the first time and you say no, you show them, and end it with this when you're leaving. Just say, hey, listen, I'd rather disappoint you right now than in the future. If you go with someone else, please know that if your house doesn't sell and you're curious when that gets done, I want to have the opportunity to come back and tell you the truth just as I believe I have at this point. That will set you up for listings that will be priced right in the future, that will be motivated to sell because they haven't sold in the past, and it gives you that opportunity. So right in line with that, let's start developing an expired listing campaign. In the past, what happened is that you just put something on the market and it would sell like that. That's not the case now. So expired listing campaigns kind of went out of vogue because there weren't a lot of expired listings. That will not be the case in 2023. Develop a program now where you've got a step system that is just daily contacting them via mail, via email, via text, via phone calls, via delivering packages to their doorstep. Whatever that is, you can go online and just Google expired listing campaign, and I'll promise you're going to find some things that you can adapt to your own. Develop that expired listing campaign now, because that's going to give you the opportunity to find those sellers that want to sell, not just want to sell, but need to sell, and have been softened by the market to a place where they're ready to get realistic on their pricing. They'll understand the value you bring on marketing, and you're going to have clients that you can build a relationship with over time. So understanding, number one, that we're going to have less transactions, in my opinion. Number two is that we're going to have more inventory, again, in my opinion. Number three, that leads us to, then who should you be focused on to do business with? And that comes to number three. Focus on the listings where there are life events where they don't just want, but they need to sell. So what are some of these events? These events are death. Probate listings is a consistent way. I loved working in this market for a couple of reasons. Now, this may sound a little morbid, but let me just say this. Folks that are dealing with an estate have a couple of things going on. They really, in most cases, need to sell. They're emotional. So you have the ability to come in, especially if you develop a plan of action that helps them in the time when they need the help the most. This is a great place for you to be a servant to that community, where you provide list of service providers, cleanup companies, lawn maintenance people, some of the places that will pick up furniture or that will clean up houses or do estate sales. These are things that will happen to prepare a house to be sold. You have to understand that once someone is designated as the executor for an estate, they have the ability to sign listing agreements, to sell properties. Their job is to liquidate assets, and in a lot of cases, these houses are going to be sold. But if you go into it from a place of just serving them and doing those things where you're just adding value, I promise you're going to get your share of listings. They're going to give you the opportunity to go into a place where you're listing houses that really need to sell. So let me talk about a couple of other events that really give you an opportunity to help people in their time of need and develop listings that are going to sell and have to sell. Number one is divorce. Number two, job transfers. Maybe number three is that maybe they're moving to be closer to children, or something like retiring and they want to downsize. Whatever it is, there's certain life events. Let me just touch on a couple of these. Number one is divorce. I used to say this growing up and selling in the rural area I was. We used to have this saying, what does a redneck divorce and a tornado have in common? Somebody's going to lose a double wide. It's just realistic. Let's just be real. I think the statistics are that when there's a divorce, 70% of the time the house has to be sold in that divorce. So there is opportunity there to serve people that really need to get something sold, to settle out and move on with their lives. Again, this is a specific place where there's a life event that you can help with. Also talked about job transfers. If you're in a military community, focus in on VA type loans or VA homes, and because those folks are going to be transferred on a consistent basis. They're going to be TDY. They're going to be sent other places, so they're going to need to sell, and there are going to be people coming in. So focus in on some of these industries where there's a consistent rotation of this. Developing relationships with some of the larger companies in your area where you can help position when they have people moving into your area, where you can be that resource for them. All of these are programs where you can find people that need to sell, where you can be of service to them at a high level, professional level, and help them in a time of need. The fourth prediction I have for 2023 is there will be a lot of agents getting out of real estate. Listen, it's just realistic. This is the typical part of the cycle where when transactions go down, so does the number of real estate agents. There were a lot of people that got in real estate because it was easy money. They were going to just work part-time. That is not the case anymore, and there's realism coming right now, especially on the front half of the year when all of a sudden they have to pay their annual dues. Instead of writing that check, they may decide to come out of that. Listen, there are probably people in your office that you know of that are great folks that built some really good relationships that did 1 to 4 transactions a year. They're going to get out of real estate. Let me tell you how you can be of service to them and take advantage of this opportunity that I know is coming. The first thing you can do is to develop and maybe find a referral company where they can park their license. Listen, we do this for our company where we have a separate company where people can park their license. They don't have to be a member of the association. They don't have to pay annual dues. They pay a one-time fee to be in that. And then it has some pass-through where they can just pay an annual fee that's minimal. And then they get their referral check can come through there so they can still be paid. So their license is still active. It's just active in a company where they don't have all the fees. Find a referral company for these agents. Give them a solution and then offer to pay them a 30% referral fee on any of the people that they have that they want to refer out. This does two things. Number one, you go to them and say, hey, listen, you've built a lot of relationships. I know that you're getting out of the business. Have you thought about parking your license like in a referral company and finding someone like me that you know is going to take care of your folks that you can refer to, and then I pay you a 30% referral fee. And in reality, because of the way your splits were, you're still going to be making income off of all of the work you've done over the last year or two or however long they've been in the business, but it gives you the ability to know that your people are going to be taken care of, that you've built relationships with. And number two, it gives you the ability to generate some income from all the work you've done in the past. By operating in a way that you're giving solutions, you're showing them how they can still monetize all of that work they've done in the past, it gives you the opportunity to find those folks where you're going to have a trust immediately because of that referral. In a lot of cases, these are going to be people that are going to boil up because if they've been working with them and they're getting out of the business, odds are the need they have is even greater than what's been being serviced, so you're going to even look like a better agent when that happens. This is a great way to help some other folks take advantage of the fact that in reality, they're just going to be naturally a rotation of people out of the business where you can help them, help their clients, and ultimately it's going to help you. Number 5 is superstar agents will emerge. Do you realize that in the majority of the time, 5 years from now, the agents that are going to be in the top 10% in real estate are probably not those people that are in that top 10% now. It's a natural rotation in our business. First off, when you have a huge run like we did, you'll have some people that will just basically have done everything they could. They'll retire out of the business because it gets a little harder. That's fine. That's going to be a certain rotation. Then there's going to be people like we were just talking about that get out of the business because they couldn't make any money. Then there's going to be a group that understands that the opportunity right now to build relationships, to set the table, they're going to do the work in a way that they're going to be those superstar agents in the next run that we see 3 to 5 years from now. They're doing the work now and they're going to emerge as that top 10% or top 20% of agents in the entire market. So what is it that you can do to set the table in a way that you're that superstar agent? Let me just say this ain't no hobby. This is not a business where you're going to grow your business by treating it as a hobby. Now's the time to go all in on this being a business. Some of the things that you do when it's a business is that you work harder than you ever have. Some of the things that you do when it's a business is you get a passion for this thing to start helping more people. This is when it's not a hobby, you start making more phone calls than you've ever made. You build more relationships. You grow the base of what you have so that when this thing, not if, but when this thing takes back off, you've got a foundation in place that you can build extremely high that will set the table for you to eat in a way that most people won't be able to eat come this time, sometime in the next couple, 3 years. This is the opportunity for superstar agents to emerge. That will happen. Now listen, here's the thing is, you may not even realize it, what's going on while it's happening. That's what happens most of the time. This next year, there will be agents that will be like, wow, they did the same amount of business they did last year. Wow, they did a little more business they did last year. But in reality, they're gaining market share in a quiet way that is going to just take off when this thing takes back off. Are you going to be one of those superstar agents? I'll promise you, they're going to emerge. They're going to show up and they're going to do the work. Take this business, treat this business like a business, and I promise your business, not just next year, but into the future, is going to grow like wildfire. I hope this has been helpful, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. I specifically chose the video below for you because it builds on the one you just watched. I hope it's helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.